Record. All right. I think I owe you guys a couple meetings. I got to get uploaded. I don't think I got the last two uploaded yet. All right. I really don't have much to talk about this evening as far as any kind of news. Our show's over and been picked up, I believe, Marty.
Yes, it
She's
has.
shaking her. Okay, yes. All right. So I'm assuming somebody has my pictures because I was unable to go.
I have them.
Okay, cool. I'll get them off of you, sometime between now and, I don't know, 2025.
Well, I can bring them on Wednesday to our class.
Oh, that's right. That is this Wednesday coming up. Oh, shit. Okay. That just means I have a bunch of work that needs to be done between now and Wednesday. I owe slideshows to a couple people for the meeting. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. I don't, like I said, I don't really have anything else. Let me double check our.
Brian,
schedule.
we had our first social last Thursday. Maybe Margie could comment on it.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring that up here in just a minute.
Okay.
I'm gonna give her time because I want to hear about that. I unfortunately wasn't able to come to that either. Let's see, November we have food photography. Is that what's still going on in November, or did Margie change that too?
Yeah, we changed that.
Okay. I'm looking at the schedule that Jim put out at the beginning of the year, and
Yeah,
I think it's
trash
been
it.
highly updated since then. So
Yeah, just
what
trash it.
do we have going on in November?
Marty? WPS, Annie has something going on with the WPS meeting.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, the WPS meeting.
Oh, no, I'm looking.
Okay.
Wrong meeting. Oh, wrong meeting. Okay, the topic is Photoshop filters, Annie,
Yeah, that's right.
and we are voting
Yes.
for office.
Okay. All right, so that was our November meeting. The Swig meeting is sharpening techniques with me and Jim. Is that still going on? Has that changed?
I thought, oh no, that's December. Never mind. Yes,
Okay. So Jim, you and I are talking about sharpening techniques at this November Swig meeting.
And from what I recall in our previous conversation, Brian, I think you were going to cover sharpening in Lightroom and or Photoshop. And I was just going to review what's available with Topaz.
I believe that is correct. Yes. All right. And it looks like we have a walk scheduled for November 6th in Uniontown. Who's in charge of that?
Probably the person that lives closest to Uniontown.
on a Sunday.
All right. So we're doing a walk on November 6th in Uniontown. I will put out some information on where to meet and stuff like that. We'll take a walk through downtown, and there's some interesting buildings and doorways and stuff like that we can walk around and take pictures of and go from there. Okay, that is what I have scheduled for November. December, I'm sure that schedule is a little wonky at this point too. Me and Margie made some changes to that today, so we'll deal with that at a later point. Okay. Margie, did you want to give us the highlights of the social gathering?
We had a very nice crowd turnout. I'm not sure how many, 13, 15, something like that. I know that John brought some folders to give away where we can put our pictures in there. And I want to say thank you again, John. And a lot of prints were brought in where we were able to view, and those that wanted critiquing, we were able to critique them. We had Carl, I believe it was, that brought in some lights, something new that he's trying out. And I had a tool that I sent around the table that I had everybody guess what it was used for and showed them how to use that tool. And it was something new that I had picked up just recently. The meals, we all ate good. I think we had a good time. What about it, John, Bob?
Yeah, it was good. It was
Bob?
nice. It was good. We able to communicate on a one-to-one basis and see the photographs, and it was nice socialization. So kudos to you, Margie.
Yeah, I agree, Margie. It was good to get together, see everybody again. And then get in small groups and talk about individual prints and things. It was a good get together.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. I was glad we had it. So good job. Good idea.
Thank you. I enjoyed it too. Next month, I've arranged it because of the SWIG meeting and Thanksgiving. I do have it set aside for November the 16th. That's going to be on a Wednesday though. And 7 o'clock at IHOP. So I'd really like all of you to join. We really get to know each other. And there was questions that people asked that we were able to answer.
All right.
We were the only ones there
Yeah.
at the restaurant, so the workers enjoyed that.
Yeah, they put us in a side room. I know the major room, they had problems with the heat. So they put us in another room on the side. And they really went out of their way because they would set up extra tables for us and they were right on top of us. I think we had 2 or 3 different waiters that really went out of their way to see that anything we needed, we were supplied with.
Good.
I think they were happy because I don't think they have a lot of business in the evening, and we were the only ones in the restaurant. So without us, the one waiter made a comment that he wouldn't have made any money at all tonight if we didn't show up. So
Yeah, yeah.
Good. Good.
Nate
December,
didn't even complain about going.
I'm sorry, what?
And Nate didn't even complain about being.
Yeah, we had Nate show up. Oh my gosh. December, we're just gonna have the party and no talk about. January and February, we will go back to the 3rd Thursday of each month. I'll make arrangements for that. I won't be able to make it in January, but there'll be enough other people here that will be able to make it in January. So
Okay.
I do hope y'all can join us. Brian,
you.
Brian.
Very nice. Thank you. Thank you, Margie, for taking on that and making it happen.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it.
I
Thank
will-
everybody for showing up and giving us a good time.
All right, how about a picnic update? I was not there. I unfortunately can't do Saturdays, so how was the picnic, guys?
We had a good turnout. I enjoyed it. Grace enjoyed it. We had a couple new people there. That was nice. Rob and his wife. No, it's Richard and his wife Jean, and then Linda came. So it was nice. DL came, and
Perry
Bar-
Bagot was there. We haven't, at least I haven't seen him in probably a year or two, probably pre-COVID.
Who was that?
Perry Bagot, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing
Oh,
his name
okay. Yeah,
correctly.
he's been coming to our to the beginner class.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, he's been coming actually pretty much all year. He's showed up for the beginner
Oh,
class. this year.
okay, good.
Yeah. Cool. I was glancing through your pictures. You guys had, or I don't know who, or Suzanne posted some pictures of it and some nice shots from up there. So looked like a fun time and a pretty cool spot to actually have the picnic too, huh?
Yeah,
the
that
weather was-
overlook was just a couple hundred yards from the picnic pavilion.
Yeah, nice.
the weather was beautiful.
Mhm.
I believe I was, what was I? Oh, I had to dig a ditch on Saturday.
Good.
So
Yeah.
y'all had a much better time than I did.
Hmm.
All right. Well, with that being said, what is the next step in the meeting tonight? Jim,
Jim?
you want to do news, or Marty or Margie?
I
you're
can
saying
do
something?
news, but I guess I have a question for Margie. Is someone doing a tips and tricks tonight?
Well,
Yes,
Yeah, Bob is.
I am.
Go ahead,
Bob,
Bob.
on tips and tricks. Bob, you want to do that now, or you want to do the news first? It's up to you guys.
It should be about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, the presentation, unless Jim wants to go first.
You go right ahead.
Okay, fine. The
Bob, you
thing
have
is,
the floor.
the thing is that this is for those that use Lightroom, the subscription version. And I thought it would be good to learn about what they call the Lightroom ecosystem and how you could share your photos with the Lightroom Classic on your desktop, on your iPad, on your phone, and even send it out to the web to share it with other people. The takeaway is that in order to do that, you must put in your Lightroom CC your photos in a collection and then sync it with Lightroom. And then these automatically go up to the cloud. So whatever device you have, whether it's the iPad or the phone, you could have it to make minor alterations or any alterations you want, and then bring it back to Lightroom. And the other thing is also that in the Adobe cloud, you only allow 20 gigabytes of space. The thing is that if you upload a photo with your phone or with your iPad, that's a full resolution photo. But if you do it through the collection in Lightroom Classic, they are smart previews and they really don't count for the gigabyte storage. So I like to just present this video to kind of help you understand that. And let me see if I could do this here. Okay. Here it is. Let me just, nope, let me, okay, here it is.
Hi, and welcome to another class of the Lightroom Virtual Summit 2022. My name is Jared Platt, and this class is all about sharing your images. Now, you take photographs, you edit photographs, and then you got to go through the process of building a website or putting them on a web page or making a book or printing them on the printer and mailing them out. Like the process of sharing images is a little bit cumbersome. And so oftentimes you take photos and they sit on your computer and 2 years pass and you realize, I never actually showed anybody that picture that I took. And it's a brilliant image. Why didn't I share it? Because the process was difficult. I'm here to help make that process easy. And we're going to do that by introducing you to the Lightroom ecosystem. The Lightroom ecosystem, or the Creative Cloud, allows you to share your images very easily. And I'm going to show you how. We're going to be talking about it through various programs. And so it doesn't really matter which version of Lightroom you're using or if you're using all of them. I'm going to show you each component of the system, and I'm going to show you how to connect to the cloud and how to use that cloud to make sharing possible. Now, we share on a lot of different levels with the cloud. First off, the cloud allows Lightroom Classic on your desktop computer and Lightroom Mobile on your iPad or on your phone, and Lightroom Desktop on, say, a laptop computer, and even Lightroom Web on a random browser. It allows all of those to talk to each other. That way your images can be everywhere that you happen to be. If you want to sit down and work here at your desktop, you can. If you want to sit on a couch and work on your iPad, you can. If you want to share images from your phone while you're out and about, you can. If you, for some reason, are in some far-flung country and all you have access to is an internet cafe, and you want to put some images into your Lightroom ecosystem, you can, because all you need is a web browser. So Lightroom has created the perfect place for you to put your photos, edit your photos, and share your photos, because it's always present. Wherever you happen to be, you have access to your Creative Cloud. That way, anytime you have inspiration to be creative, you can work and you can do something with that inspiration. That's what I'm here to teach you about. So this is your ultimate guide to sharing with the Lightroom ecosystem. Now, let's start by introducing you to sharing from Lightroom Classic. So inside of Lightroom Classic, we share through what's called a collection, not folders. So the folders are up here, and those are physical locations on your hard drive, but we share through collections. Now, if you've never shared from Lightroom Classic to the cloud before, the first thing you have to do is you have to go over to the top right-hand corner and click on this little cloud button. Now, my dialog box here has a pause syncing button. If you've never shared, that will be a start synchronization button instead of a pausing synchronization button. So the first thing you have to do is come here to this cloud icon and click on start synchronization. Once you've started your cloud synchronization here, then you will be able to share images to the Lightroom ecosystem from Lightroom Classic. And then each one of these collections can either be turned on or off for synchronization with the cloud. So just because you turn synchronization on inside of Lightroom in general does not mean that Lightroom is always going to be synchronizing everything with the cloud. Lightroom Classic only synchronizes the individual collections that you choose to synchronize. So we're going to go into each one of these, and you can see that this first one, this Plat Height, which is a personal collection, has a sideways lightning bolt over to the left-hand side. That means that it is shared with the cloud. However, right below it, this Client Portraits collection does not. It just has a square, an open square. That means it's not shared with the cloud. If I want to share it with the cloud, I can simply hover over that square and click on it, and now it is shared with the cloud. And as we speak, it is being sent up to the cloud and then transferred to all my other devices. You can see that here inside of my iPad, that Client Portrait, that collection has come in to the general set of collections. But these are called albums. So they call them different things. I don't know why they call them different things, but inside of Lightroom Mobile, they call collections albums. And in Lightroom Classic, we call them collections. We'll use them interchangeably. Collections, albums, collections, they're the same things. Now, I can take that Client Portrait collection or album, and I can move it up into this folder called Lightroom Summit 2022. And now it's with all the rest of the ones that we're going to be working with today. If I click on that, there's my portraits that I was looking at. And if I go back to Lightroom Classic, you'll see that those same images exist here. So that was the process by which I connected Lightroom Classic to my iPad Lightroom Mobile. Pretty easy. So let's go back to Lightroom Mobile, because I want to show you something from here that's very important for you to understand. Everything that you put into Lightroom Mobile, whether it's on a phone or whether it's on a tablet, or even if you put it into Lightroom Desktop, which is the small version of Lightroom, the newer version of Lightroom that can be on a computer, no matter where, if you put it into one of those other versions of Lightroom, not Lightroom Classic, but any other version of Lightroom, it will take those images and it will automatically send them to the cloud. Whereas Lightroom Classic, specifically, you have to tell it, I want this collection to go to the cloud. Anything you put on your phone or your tablet or inside of Lightroom Desktop, those versions of Lightroom automatically send whatever you put into them to the cloud. And so you don't have to toggle something on or turn something off. It just happens. Now, there is also another difference. Everything that comes from another version of Lightroom, other than Classic, all the other versions of Lightroom send the full high-resolution image up to the cloud. And that takes up space. So if you have a terabyte of space in the cloud, you can eat that up pretty quickly if you put everything in the cloud. However, in Lightroom Classic, the images that are being sent to the cloud are smart previews. So all the other versions of Lightroom send the full high-resolution image up to the cloud and they take up space. Lightroom Classic only sends the collections that you want to send, and it sends a smart preview up to the cloud. And that smart preview doesn't take up any space, literally none, because they have a different place for those smart previews and they don't count against your storage space. So my preference is to always put things into Lightroom Classic because I don't take up any space in the cloud and I still get the advantage of seeing my images everywhere. Now, you might be asking, well, what's the difference between the full high resolution image being in the cloud and the smart preview being in the cloud? Do I get the same quality image? Well, obviously you can do more with a 30 megapixel high resolution raw image than you can with a small smart preview of that same image. But most of the things that you're going to be doing on your iPad, on your phone, while you're traveling, you're not going to be making huge prints. That's what you're going to do here inside of Lightroom Classic. What you're going to be doing on the road is looking at images, adjusting images, selecting images, sharing images on Instagram, sharing images on Facebook, sending clients previews of images, posting things on blogs and websites. All of that is absolutely easy to do with a smart preview. In fact, a smart preview, I have actually printed a smart preview that was 30 inches, a 30-inch print from a smart preview. So, and it looks fine. So it is absolutely doable to use the smart preview. So I prefer to add my images into Lightroom Classic and allow that to be my major hub of activity. If I'm traveling, then I can take my images and put them here inside of the iPad. The iPad, when it's connected to Wi-Fi, is then going to send those images up to the cloud, and I'll have a backup while I'm traveling. Now, remember that whether I put my images in my phone or whether I put them into Lightroom Classic here, they get sent to the cloud, and then those images that are in the cloud, whether it's the full high resolution image or whether it's the small smart preview, gets shared with all of my other devices. The things that come from my phone go to the cloud, and then they come down here into Lightroom Classic. The things that I put into collections here inside of Lightroom Classic go up to the cloud, and then they come down to my phone here. If I put high resolution images into my iPad, those high resolution images end up inside of Lightroom Classic. If I put images into Lightroom Classic and it sends smart previews to the cloud, smart previews end up here on my iPad. That should give you a good idea of how the Lightroom ecosystem works. It's not super complicated to understand. I just needed you to get a sense of what's happening inside of the Lightroom ecosystem from computer to iPad to phone to other computers. Now, because I like to use Lightroom Classic as my hub for all of my photos, when I go to import images into Lightroom Classic, I'm actually going to use a feature in the import dialog box that allows me to add images to a collection immediately. So as the images are coming in the door to Lightroom Classic, they're immediately going into a collection, and that collection is going to be tied to the cloud. In the file handling panel, at the very bottom is an Add to Collections button. I'm going to click on that Add to Collection, and I'm going to find a collection, or I'm going to create a collection. So you can create a collection by clicking on this little plus button, and it gives you an option here to create, or I could find a collection that is already tied to the cloud. So for instance, this plat height, I can use this because I already know it's tied to the cloud. But if I'm coming in brand new, it's a new collection I want to add it to, I'm just going to click on this plus button. I'm going to say test, and I'm organizing this collection into a collection set, which is called LR Summit. That's just for this class. And then below that, you're going to see sync with Lightroom. That synchronization with Lightroom is critical because I'm telling my computer, when you put these images into Lightroom Classic, make a collection and make sure that collection is synchronizing with the ecosystem. That way I don't have to be involved. Everything that I do, everything that I put into Lightroom Classic ends up on the web. That way I can use it whenever, wherever I happen to be. So I'm going to hit create, and now I'm going to hit import. And when I import these photos, they're going to go into this test collection. You can see the test collection is here. It's importing the files as it goes. And notice that the test collection is tied to the cloud. And you'll notice now that the test collection has come in the form of an album here inside of Lightroom Mobile. And you'll see in the top right-hand corner, there's a little cloud with these dots that are moving. And that tells you that the synchronization is happening. And that synchronization is happening with this test collection here. So in a few minutes, that synchronization will be finished, and all the images that were put into Lightroom Classic on import will have automatically been added to a collection, sent to the cloud, and then distributed to all of my devices. That's how the cloud works. And that's why I use that function inside of the import dialog box, so that I can always have access to my images. So that way, if I happen to be waiting at a soccer practice for a kid, or wherever I happen to be, and I have some extra time, I can go through and finish selecting images. I can be adjusting images all right here on my iPad. And then all of those changes end up in the cloud, and then from the cloud down to Lightroom Classic, and all of my work is done. I just come back here to do the major exporting of the images, or major printing of images, things like that. If for some reason I want to just share those images with the rest of the world through a blog post, or I want to share them with people through a website, or even I want to give people an opportunity to download those images, I can do that directly from my iPad. I can do that from my phone. I can share them to Instagram on my phone, or I can come back here and do major work on those images and export full high resolution JPEGs. That's the value of this ecosystem. Now let's talk about the specifics on how we share those images and what we can do with that sharing capability. Inside of Lightroom Classic, any collection that is tied to the cloud can be used. And all I need to do, and I'm going to go to, say, Iceland here. And I've actually chosen some of my favorite images from Iceland, and I put them in another collection called 2 Days in Iceland. So I'm going to use that as my key work here today. And so I'm just going to turn on the synchronization with the cloud. So now that it's synchronized with the cloud, I can right click it. And even while it's synchronizing with the cloud, I can do a lot of this work, even though it still needs to do a lot of synchronization. I'm going to start the work. So all I had to do was tell this collection, go ahead and synchronize with the cloud. Then I can right click it and go down to the Lightroom links. In the Lightroom links, I can come down here and I can make it public. So by making this public, I have just opened up the gates for the rest of the world to be able to come see it. Now, it's not like they know where it is. I have to then invite them to it or use it for some purpose, but at least I've opened the gate so people can see it if I tell them about it. So again, I'm going to right click it again and come down to Lightroom links. And now that it's public, I can go and view my private link on the web, or I can view the public link on the web. I'm going to go and view my private links. So that way you can see what that looks like on the web. When I do that, I'm going to go to a website that is my Lightroom catalog, but it's my Lightroom catalog on the web. And it looks a lot like Lightroom Mobile. You'll notice that that is 2 Days in Iceland. There's my shared catalog, right? So I've just shared it with the web. It's out here. And look, there's all the images. And those images also happen to be right here inside of Lightroom Classic, 2 days in Iceland, same images. But now I'm looking at them on the web. And I can look at them in two different views. I can look at them in this masonry style, or I can click this other button, which allows me to see them in a grid. So those are the two ways that I can view them personally, because this is my collection of images. But I also can share them with the world, because remember, they're already on the web. So why not make a website out of them? They're already there. And it takes me that long to make a website. So I'm going to share these with some friends and say, hey, I just finished this travel to Iceland and I want to show it to you. And so now I'm going to go over to this little artist palette button here. And when I click on that, it's going to show me what it would look like on a website. I can choose the theme of the website, either small or larger columns of images. I like the larger, that looks nicer. So I'm going to choose that. I can also do blog style where it's just one image after another, but I'm not too keen on that. I like this one better because it gives me some, other types. You might like just a small grid, that's fine too. I can also choose the appearance, turn it white. That way it looks a little bit more like my site. And I can click on this little up arrow that allows me to change the title, change the author, and also I can create a cover. So I'm going to click on cover, and instead of using it as a background, I'm going to tell it to give me a hero cover. And now I just have to choose my hero image. That's not the hero image I want. So I'm going to go and choose, which one do I want? Let's choose this one. So I'm going to click on this image as the hero, and then I'm going to go up to the top and set it as the cover. Once I've set that as the cover, there's the hero image, and I can click on this little photo icon in the top right, and I can reposition the image so that it's exactly the way I want it seen. And I want to make sure that the person down there taking this picture is seen. So I'm just going to make sure that it's that looks good right there. I still want that cloud in there, and I'm going to hit apply. So now that's what my website looks like. There's the cover. Here's the title, there's my name, and then here are all the photographs. Now I can also change these up a little bit. So for instance, if I want, say, this image right here, which I love, to be big, all I have to do is click on this little plus button here, and it creates a divider. And then I can create another divider with this other plus button on the right-hand side. And now I've got a full-size image here. So I've got a grid of images, full-size image, grid of images. And let's do this panoramic as well. So I'm going to do the same thing to the panoramic. There we go. And now you see that one is, so I'm creating these little dividers. Plus I can add a heading if I really want to. So I could come in here and add a heading if I wanted to say something about this, or I could go down here and add some kind of like a subheading or text here. So you can even use this as like a blog. And I'm going to keep going through. I want to make sure that this image is big. So I'm creating there. That's a big image. And then let's go down and we will finish it off with that image being big. Okay, so now we've created a website that has both grids and it has large images. I think that's fairly attractive. Now I want to share it. So I'm going to go up to the top right-hand corner and you'll see a little shadowy figure with a plus button. And I can simply click on that plus button, and here's all of my share and invite options. I simply click on this and copy it, or I can click here and I can get the embed code to put it into some other website. I could share it to Facebook, share it on Twitter. Also, I have some controls here. I could just invite one person via email and only allow that one email address to come into this website. And I can give them permissions. So I can tell that person they have permission to view it only. They could contribute, meaning that they can actually add images to this collection, or they can even edit those images. So they could click on them and edit them right inside of Lightroom on the web, or if they happen to be using Lightroom Desktop or they're using Lightroom on their iPad, then it would show up inside of Lightroom for them, and they would be able to edit inside of their version of Lightroom, edit your images. So you have a lot of control over how you share those images with your friends, family, coworkers, or the public. Okay, so now I can also go to the settings area and I can allow JPEG downloads. I can show metadata. I can show location information. I have a lot of control over what I share with people and what I allow them to do. I don't want anybody to download the JPEGs on this particular one, so we're going to leave that off, but I'll leave everything else on. So I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to go and show you what it looks like here on the web. So when I send someone a link to this, this is what they're going to see. They're going to see this beautiful website with some gridded images here, as well as some big images. And if they've signed in, you can see that I've signed in here because my icon is up in the top right-hand corner. I can actually click on an image and I can heart that image, meaning that I can like the image. So if I click on this little
just wanted to share that, and let's see if I could give an example. Okay. Okay. Can you still see the screen? Do you see the Photoshop? Do you see the screen?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure.
Well, Bob, what we see is where you pause the video.
Oh, okay. I got to share screen. Okay. Resume share. Let me, okay, I just paused the video, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I pressed the resume share. Nothing has happened. Let me see. Do you see the Photoshop screen now or no? Just the
No, just the
no.
paused video.
Just the paused video. Okay, I need some tech support here.
When you first shared for the video, did you share your desktop or did you share just that window?
Just that window.
So you probably have to go like stop sharing and then
Okay.
start sharing again.
Okay. Okay. How's that?
Yes.
You see?
Yep,
Do you
that
see
works.
Photoshop?
Yes.
We're
We have your
in,
Photoshop,
I think
yes.
it's like,
Okay. Okay. Good.
Lightroom, but yeah.
Okay. This is. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Photoshop's in my brain, but anyway, here's the. Again, what he had talked about, the collections, and collections are easy to make. You just pick your photos and make not a folder but a collection. And so here I just took some random photos, and I'm again in the collection, and I went to right click and Lightroom links, and then I go to view on web, and then automatically sends me to this web place. If it comes up, you know what, I'm just wondering if it no, it's okay. Let me stop sharing again, see if this is an issue. Nope. Anyway, not to belabor the point, it's just that you go and right click your collections, share it to the web, and then it comes out as a web page. And I don't know why that is not occurring right now. Sorry about that. No. Nope, it's not. Oh, here it is. Okay. It just took a little bit longer time. So in other words, you get to this web page and you could these are just some random photos I took of Harmony. And you could just make them in any pattern you want, but the big one was this little artist palette, and then you could see you could arrange it any way you want to. As he had mentioned, you could change the size. And the thing about this is that you share it with some other people and all that. And that's where you share. So if you have a family outing and you have a lot of photos, then you could put it in this way and you could share it out to all those people that you want to share it out with. It's another form of Google Drive, but again, it's with that Lightroom ecosystem that you could do everything within Lightroom and not have to go through a different party and all that. So that's my presentation and all. Hope it helped. And I'm sorry and I apologize for those that don't use Lightroom. I'm sorry. I just, yeah.
Hey, Bob, I really like that. Can you maybe drop the link in the comments?
You know what? This is, let me just see if I think it's proprietary. I think I had gone on to this Lightroom Summit, and I'll try to send you the video. Let me, I'll put it on Reddit if I could do that, okay?
Yeah, I'd like to have it. There's a lot of stuff on it. It went pretty fast there at the end, and I'd like to have
Well,
a
it's a longer video. It's about a 45-minute video, but I didn't want to belabor it too much and all that. But the game point is that everything has to be in a collection and goes to the cloud, and it doesn't take up any space. And then from there, you go to this web page and just, you know, design it any way you want to, and then just send it to someone. So I'll send it to Bob, okay. And then invite, and then they accept the invitation, just like Google Drive, and they could see all your photos. Now, again, this, you have to belong to the subscription service, and you have to make sure that photos are in a, you import your photos in a collection, you sync the photos to the cloud, and then even on the Lightroom cloud version that is different from Lightroom Classic, you could see these same photos on the Lightroom desktop, not the Lightroom Classic.
When you import your photo, do you use that import right directly in the collection feature that he showed?
You know what? I didn't do beforehand, but I may start doing that. So that you can see
I've been using it, and the problem I
good.
have with it is, if you do a collection set, you can't. You can add a collection, but you can't add a collection set.
Yeah, right. It has to be a collection, individual collection.
Yeah. So what I got to do is I remember to go in and put the collection set in first, so I can tell it where to put the collection. I forget to do that.
Right.
And then the other thing is when it takes all those collections and syncs them up into the rest of the Lightroom universe and the iPad and the phone, the collection set isn't there. It's just the collection names. And I find it very hard to find things because I've got all my collection sets set up where I can find, you know, landscape pictures, vacation pictures, that kind of thing. Now it's a mishmash of all these different names I have of the individual collection sets. So I find it very difficult to find pictures.
Now, do you go to the Lightroom do you go to the Lightroom web version on your desktop to see whether they synced?
No, I don't do that. I go right to the. I usually have the iPad sitting. I go right to the iPad.
Okay. Does the iPad show the albums or the collections?
No. Well, I see on the iPads are the collections, which he's calling albums, but they're not the collection sets. And the collection sets is the primary way I find things, right? That's my index for all my pictures. So when I get into the iPad, I've got all these collections and they're all random, right? Because they're alphabetical.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think the sets go into the cloud and all that. I think it's just the
they don't. And I find that very frustrating because they give you a way to organize it in sets, and then it's only good in Lightroom. It's not good in the rest of the universe. I find that very, very cumbersome.
Yeah.
Just an editorial comment. I wondered if anybody else had that problem or found a solution to it.
Well, that's all I got for the show. Let me
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Bob.
No problem.
That was good, Bob.
Thank you.
that was something that I've never seen in Lightroom before. So that was completely new to me. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, I didn't know either until I saw this video and I said, that's interesting. And again, it doesn't add up to the gigabyte storage capacity, because I checked it out and it's it's hardly anything. I still have the 9 gigabytes of Adobe Cloud that I have.
Yeah, that was a good video. Again, I didn't even know, like Brian said, that you could do that. So thanks for doing that, Bob.
No problem. My
Yeah, I
pleasure.
had no idea either. That's great. I struggle with Google Drive. I don't use it that much. It'll be much easier because the pictures are right
Yeah,
there. I
because
can do more with them.
yeah, you could just do everything with Lightroom and not have to go out of that, like you said, the Lightroom universe.
Okay. Jim, I guess you're up next with some news, and then Margie's got some stuff to talk about this evening.
Okay. So Brian, are you telling me that you're not doing the Photoshop presentation?
Margie's going to do her half, and I'm going to do my half at the next meeting, actually.
Oh, it's the two of you. Okay. Margie, how much time do you need?
45 minutes at least.
Okay, we'll do real quick news. Okay, I assume you can see my screen.
Yes.
All right. So, Beth, I've got a camera you can buy, a brand new film camera.
Yeah, Leica.
Leica has announced they're bringing back into production their M6 camera, which is a 35 millimeter film camera. And the article basically goes through and describes that there has been over the last few years a steady increase in the interest of photographers using film cameras again. And I'm just going down to the bottom here because there is a price. You need to start saving up some quarters and nickels. $5,300. But I thought it was
For a
interesting.
Leica, that's about normal.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting that there not only is, obviously there's interest in people getting the old film cameras if they don't already have them, but here they're coming out and producing them new again. So that was interesting. And to kind of complement that, those of you who need a job, Kodak is hiring film technicians because the article goes through, like a couple of years ago, they had like a day shift, 5 days a week, work in film processing. And it's got to the point where they're running basically 24/7 now, trying to keep up. And they wanted to hire like 500 some technicians just because of the increased demand in film processing. So anyway, maybe more of our members will join Beth in the film world again.
Speaking of film, Beth, just real quickly, I'm thinking of building a dark room. at home.
Finally.
Yeah,
Okay.
a dedicated dark room,
Okay.
not retrofitting my bathroom with sheets over the windows. So I may need some technical advice here before long.
Yep. Anytime.
Okay.
I have extra equipments too.
Oh, I've got lots of equipment. I have a you know how some people are hoarders. Yeah, I'm a hoarder of like enlargers. I don't know, 5 or 6 of those at this point.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Jim. I'm sorry.
That's okay, no problem. Unfortunately, I don't know how this gentleman pronounces his name, or did pronounce his name. Steichen?
Steichen.
Steichen? Okay. So in sometime early November, And I think I've seen this photo before of his.
Mhm.
It's the Flatiron Building in New York City.
Yeah.
It was taken like in the early 1900s.
Hmm.
It's who's it? Paul Allen apparently bought the actual photo back some number of years ago and is putting it up for auction. And the auction house is anticipating that it can go in excess of $10 million
Wow.
and set a new record for the price of a print.
Wow.
Maybe we could pool our money with the club and see if we
Yeah.
can get it.
I think we'll be a little short.
Yeah, it was very, very short. What year was this taken, Jim?
I think it was in the early 1900s. Hold on here.
It almost has to be, because I thought it wasn't real because there's no buildings around it, it's, that Flatiron Building isn't that,
The photo was
prominent
taken
today.
in 1904 and printed in 1905.
And it looks like a gum bichromate too. But
Say that again, Beth.
it looks kind of like a gum bichromate print
Okay, well, let me see.
with the different colors. I don't know if it is, but
It mentioned that there were like 3 versions of yeah, I think you're right. There it is right there.
Yep.
Smart.
yeah. Oh, gum over platinum. Okay.
Just maybe a mute question. Why is this print so expensive? I mean, it was, it's very nice, but kind of a lot of shekels for it.
Partially because it's a one of a kind. He made only a few prints, and because of how you do gum, it doesn't look the same every time. So the other prints of this image don't look exactly the same.
But why so
And
much?
it was a famous shot too.
If I take this same shot today, would it command millions of dollars 50 years from now?
I don't know.
Try and find out, Bob.
Yep.
I won't know. I won't know.
Probably would have that value to somebody. You just gotta find
Yeah.
out one person.
All right. The last one, and I'm not going to do it because of time so that we don't cut Margie short, but I'll just mention this to you. Those of you who are using Lightroom, there was just an update here within the last week or so. And this is a 15-minute video from Anthony Morganti, who goes through the update. And there's some significant updates, if you're not already familiar with them, significant updates to AI type masking. You can do background masking and object masking and people masking. And then with the people masking, it can actually automatically, if you wanted to do like portrait touch-ups, it's automatically masked the hair, the eyebrows, the eyes, the teeth, the lips, etc. So I would suggest if you are using Lightroom and you're not familiar with the update, it really sounds significant. And there's one other feature besides the masking that I thought was interesting, is where you do the touch-up work with either the clone stamp tool or the brush. This has a new AI brush that is content-aware fill. Apparently, if not exactly, certainly similar to what you can do in Photoshop now. And so you can select areas now using the content-aware fill like you would in Photoshop today.
I actually downloaded the upgrade and watched this video. It's really good. So I would highly recommend it.
Okay, Margie, over to you.
All right, let's see here.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Jim, if you could drop a couple of those links to your news things in the chat, that would be great. I can add them to the video later.
Yeah. Can you all see my page?
Hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
All right, we're going to start with the transform tool in Photoshop. One thing about Photoshop, they have a tendency to rename or move different tools around. It's driving me up the wall. They will even change how a tool is used. The transform tool is one of the tools I'm talking about. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and pull two of these over. Drag them over into Photoshop. Give it a second. As you can see, I've got two photos over there. The very first thing I do, I go down here. I always do this on the layers. I always double click, make that background layer into a working layer. Always, always, always work off of a copy or use Smart Object. These are all copies. If you work off of your original and you save it, you've just lost your original. So anything you've done, any processing you've done on it. So always work off of a copy. I make a folder up, as you saw down here, and whatever I want to work on for a presentation, I put into that folder. All right, I'm going to, the next thing I do is I go to arrange, and then I go down here to float all in windows. I do this for all my compositives. There's several different ways you can do it. This is just the way I do it. All right. I'm going to go ahead and make a selection of this butterfly so that I can put it over here into the flowers. When you make a selection, now I'm going to be working with the object selection tool. When you make a selection, you want a smoother outline. You don't want a sharp outline. Oh gosh, how do you get rid of this stupid thing up here? How do you do that? How do you get rid of the thing up on top? Can you see what I'm talking about?
You mean the Zoom thing?
Yeah, the zoom thing up here.
You can't. You can move it, but you can't get rid of it.
Bring it down to the bottom then. All right. Right. I'm going to give up on this. That Zoom is tearing me apart. All right, where was I?
You were going
That
to
Zoom just tore me apart.
you were going to take
I
the
can't hear
butterfly.
you.
You were going to make a copy of the butterfly and put it on the other.
Yeah, I know it, but I can't find the butterfly now because of this stupid. I'm sorry. All right, hold on. Just All right, we're back to where we need to be. And I got the Zoom thing out of the way. All right, when you make a selection, always make sure that it's a smooth selection. You don't want anything that is very sharp. Over here, what I did, they had hard edges. I took that hard edge off. Otherwise, it looks fake. Such as when I go into this kind of selections over here, any of the selections, you're going to see that I feather it out between 3 and 4 pixels. That goes without saying. So remember that, so that you don't have a sharp outline that looks not right. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and let me remove this. This is not going to be perfect. I'm just, yeah, here's another part up here I want to remove. Like I said, it's not going to be perfect. I'm just doing to show you. The next thing I do is I'm going to go over here to the move tool. And I'm going to go to the transfer tool. The transform tool, you can go up here to edit, go down to free transform, or you can go Command or Control T, either way. I'm going to reduce this butterfly. Then I'm going to drag it on over with the move tool. There we go. Place it where I want to go. I'm going to get this out of the way. A lot of times I will take a picture and not worry about all of the ugly background or foreground, because all I want is that one subject in the picture. So I don't worry about the rest of the picture because I do a lot of composites. Once you get it in here, go ahead and do a Control T, edit, and free transform. Everything's going to go wrong for me tonight. Just
You're still working on the other picture, Margie. Do a free transform now. You've got the right picture highlighted. There you go.
Thank you. It's going to be a
I'm here
long.
for you.
Okay, thank you. I know how to do this. I do it all the time. This is one of my favorite tools that I use, and I use it all the time. All right, we're in here with the free transfer. You're going to have a box going around there, and then you've got all these small little square boxes that you see all the way around. And you can do all kinds of good movement with it, make it smaller, make it larger. If you hold the shift key down, the aspect ratio stays the same. Take the key off, you got all kinds of things you can do with it. But the main thing is get in here and you can do like scale. The scale, what it does is it enlarges or reduces an item to the reference point, which are these points here. And you can scale horizontally, vertically. The other one is rotate. It will rotate it, but when I rotate, you can go counterclockwise, clockwise. I don't usually use much of these because I do my free forming. You can also flip vertically, flip horizontally, 180. Just go through here. You can see pretty much what you can do with that. Screw. And I'm going to show you what you can do with some of these later on. I don't usually use stuff like screw, but it gives you an idea of what you can do with it. Distort. Perspective, I don't know. I don't ever use perspective. I could tell you that. And what it does is it just sort of narrows it down. Just something I don't use much of. In fact, I've actually never used the perspective part of it. You can, the screw actually slants an item either horizontally or vertically. Distort will stretch an item in all directions. All right, that gives you an idea. You can move it any place you want it. Of course, if you still have this open and it's still selected, you can move as many butterflies as you want over here. So the next thing that I have to show you is a video. If I can figure out how to do that. Meeting.
We're going to take a look at the transform tool in Photoshop CC.
Y'all hear that?
2019.
Yep. Yes.
Hey guys, Rob Alden here, IMAX Productions. Welcome to another tutorial from Video and Design. And today we're taking a look at the transform tool, the free transform tool in Photoshop, and specifically what's changed in 2019 version of Photoshop. Not too much has changed. There's one annoying little change they made, which you're probably already familiar with if you're familiar with Photoshop, that will take some getting used to. It's really not a big deal, but it just takes some getting used to. But we're going to go through the tool and all the nuances and whatnot. Okay, so let's dive right in. So here we have an image, and I just pasted my little, this is kind of a placeholder that I use for a lot of mock-ups that I make. You can actually download that from the website if you click on the link. And okay, so let's take a look. So right away, if you want to use the transform tool, we'll come up here to edit and free transform, and you'll see immediately get these little points here, these 8 little transform points, and you can just double click to get out of it. Now, if you're like me and you like to use short keys, simply click Command or Control T, and you automatically get those points. So right off the bat, what can you do with the transform tool? Now, here's the nuance I was talking about, that one difference that they made in 2019. Usually when you would simply drag those corner points, it would be a non-proportionate scale. Usually when you drag those points, it would be a non-proportionate scale. What they've done now is when you are simply doing a scale, now it's proportionate. See, it keeps its proportions as I scale. If I want to do a non-proportional scale, so if I want to kind of stretch it sideways or lengthwise, now I have to hold down the Shift key, and now I can do this non-proportional scale this way. Okay, not a huge difference. Before it was just the opposite. When you were not holding any keys and doing a free transform, free scale, it would be non-proportionate. If you wanted to be proportionate, you had to hold down the Shift keys. That's the only real difference. It was really annoying at first because I'm so used to doing this. I've been working with 2019 for a couple months now, and I'm still hitting that by mistake, but that's pretty much the only nuance there. Okay, so by default, we're scaling. Like I said, if you want to scale proportionately or disproportionately, hold down the Shift key. What else do we've got? Now, you'll notice when we're on those points, we get the scale. If we move away from one of those corner points, we get that little circular icon, which is the rotate. So I can rotate my object from here. And we can, all these points are basically just scaling, of course, unless you hold down Shift. Now, if we right click, we get a whole lot of other options. So we're on free transform. That's what we're on by default. If I hit scale, it's the same thing. I'm just not going to get that rotate option. So it's going to be purely doing a scale, and the same way that if I click on rotate, now I'm purely getting rotate functions, no scale functions. Skew is going to skew like this. So if you grab these corner pins, I can skew the image. Honestly, I don't use skew all that often, and you can go side to side. You might find some use for it. I don't use skew that often. Another thing I forgot to mention is, as we're scaling, let's undo some of this transform here. Another thing, so I mentioned if we hold down shift, we get our disproportionate that way. If we hold down, normally we're always skewing from one point. If we hold down option, if we hold down option, we're scaling towards the center. And if you hold option and shift, we're scaling towards the center disproportionately. So we can do this kind of funky wavy thing going on here. Okay, so we're going to paste in and hit Command Control T to get your transform again. Now let's hold option and let's scale it down, center it on the book, and just rotate a little bit. Now right click again, we're going to go to distort. So what distort does, and this is very useful whenever I'm creating mock-up, so I can grab these corner points and I can drag them to the corners. Let's zoom in a little bit. Obviously, I would do a much better job, make sure that I'm really grabbing the corners. This book too is not really proportioned to my little mock-up orange grid file here, so it's going to stretch it out slightly, but you get the idea. Now, if you actually did put on a quick transfer mode to darken, or sorry, multiply, so you're going to actually get that fold in there. It actually looks pretty convincing just doing that. I was making a real mock-up. Obviously, I'll get a better proportion image, but pretty easy. So that's your distort. Now, quick little note I can add in here. Whenever you're doing this, especially if you're doing a mock-up, if you want to rotate, if you want to distort and do all these things, do not click out of the transform. So double click to get out of the free transform. Don't do that until you're absolutely done, because you can't go back. If you go back here, if I hit Command Control T again, notice now my corner points are no longer in the corners. It always creates a rectangle around your image for free transform. So this is no longer my corner. This is my corner over here. So, if you wanted to alter this another time, let's say I wanted to put it over this little object here, I'd have to start again. I wouldn't be able to take this object. Okay, so quick note. Now we're going to go on to another photo. So here's a photo of a woman here. Now let's do this t-shirt. So I'm going to paste one more time. Hit Command Control T. Option, because I want to center proportionate scale. There we go. And let's zoom in a little bit. Now, one more time, I'm rotating, I'm placing it here. I'm going to do a quick distort, just like we did before, and try to get the corners here. Okay, and then let's go down to warp, where I'll take a look at perspective. Perspective is not one that I use very often, but let's go to warp. Now warp gives you a grid here with multiple points and these little lines, and I can actually take those lines and drag and conform my image much in much more detail. That. So I use this again. I use this well, for a lot of mock-ups that I make, where there's going to be distort is not enough. Whenever there's curvature, distort is not going to cut it. Use warp to add some curvature to your design. Okay, double click once you're happy with the warp that we just did, and quickly turn that to a multiply so we get the shading coming through. Not too bad. I've actually created a mock-up specifically for this image. Click here and go download that on my website. And what else? Let's go back over here. Go back to the original image and look at a few other options. So as I mentioned, a perspective will allow you to kind of do these perspective drags, such as this. Again, this is not one I use very often. You may find it useful if you're doing, I'm not sure what, but you may find some use for it. And lastly, rotate. If you wanted to do rotate 180 degrees, it'll rotate for you. And you can also do flip. So flip horizontal and flip vertical. We'll do 180. I'm back here. Okay, and that's basically all the cool stuff that we could do with the transform tool that you will be using. Those are the main reasons. So often in my tutorials, you'll notice I'll just say, okay, scale it down, and I kind of I'm quick in my. If you haven't noticed yet, I'm pretty fast in my tutorials. So often I will just say something like, okay, transform, hit Command Control T, transform, and scale this down. So hopefully this gives you a better idea of what the free transform tool is, what you can do with it, and hopefully it allows you to be more creative in your photoshopping. Okay, hope you enjoy this tutorial, guys. Don't forget, click the link below. There'll be some of the stuff I discussed, some of the templates that I've made will be in a blog post. So click that link below. It'll lead you to the website.
Okay, I'm going to get back here. Go back to the image that I was working off of. The one tool that I really do use besides the selection tool to bring it into another photo to make that composite. And let me see here. Once again, is the warp tool. I think all of you are going to really like the warp tool. It is about the only tool that you can actually do curvatures with. And I'm going to get more into this because this is one of my favorite tools. You can see how when I bring that one wing over down here, you're seeing the back side of the wing. It actually looks like the back side of the wing. Up here, you can get into your regular free transform, or if you click it again, you can get into your warp tool. And I'll be going over more of this here. You also have your undo button, and then the other one's the check button, which says you accept it, or you can enter to accept it. Let's see here. I'm going to bring this ball in here. I've already set it up as layers, as you can see over here. And okay. See. Right. Under the warp tool over here, you have custom. You bring that down, and there's quite a few other things you can do with the warp tool. You have a whole list here. If you do an arch, you can see it's going to do an arch. And I will show you more about this later so that you can see where we're going to use it at. Bulge. All right. you have to select at least 2 layers before you can use this part of the warp tool. But that's what I wanted to show you is the different things you can do under the warp tool. This does so much better in person. I'm just no good about doing it on Zoom, but I will continue on. All right. All right, using the compositive and the free transform, this is what I had created. This is a park that I went to down there in Texas where they had swamps and stuff. I took my G Kid and I threw her in there so that I have some kind of compositive. This is something else you could do with your transform tool. You take a sleeping child, reduce it, have another, put her in a matchbox. This one here, I showed you with the warp tool. This is 3 different photos. You have your background photo, you have your brick, and as that butterfly where I showed you with the warp tool how you can see the back of it. This is what she did. And then you have your person. Here's something else you can do. You can make a double copy. You can rotate it upside down. You can throw this into a set of clouds and using your move tool, put them together and make sort of a shadow there. Just giving you different ideas that you can do with your pictures. Having to show you that, I have a good video on the warp tool itself. And this is one of my favorite tools. Now, it's a little bit long, but I think you're going to enjoy this movie, this video.
Hi, I'm going to show you how I use the warp tool in free transform in Photoshop to solve issues I could not do if I didn't have this tool. Hi, I'm Joel Grimes. I am a commercial advertising photographer. Been doing this a long time, and I love to teach you guys things like, well, I talk about being an artist, living your dream, and creating an income with your camera. So I always come across really cool topics that I can kind of pass on to you. I was working on an image yesterday, and I was using the free or the warp tool in free transform. I thought, you know what, this is a tool I could not live without, and I use it all the time. So I thought, wouldn't it be great to do a little tutorial on that? So we're going to dive in. I'm going to show you how I use that. I also want to let you guys know that if there's a link below in the description, that'll give you access to a free sort of an ebook that I put together called the 10 Steps on Being a Successful Photographer. We have probably had more than 100,000 people download this little ebook, and it's you can put it on your iPhone or iPad or carry it with you or review it, and it gives you some insights on what I think are 10 really amazing things that'll help you go and make a living with your camera, or be successful as a photographer. So that's available. All right. So free transform. We use that a lot, I think, if you are diving into Photoshop. But the warp tool is something that I think I probably use, not in every image, but I do use it a lot, and I'm going to show you how I use it. Now, I'm going to put one image up here that I did not too long ago, but it was for a client shoot, an ad campaign, and I photographed a athlete, soccer scenario, and it was a low angle, and I had the camera on the ground, and I was shooting this soccer player, and I had to do it in 3 parts. I had to photograph his hand by itself out hanging in the air, and then when I had him hang onto the light stand so that he could balance himself, then I photographed his mid-torso. He had one leg suspended in the air, and then I had to put that leg on some apple boxes and take a picture of the back leg suspended in the air. So 3 parts. Then I had to merge those all together. And so you're taking 3 shots, an arm and a leg, whatever, And if I didn't have the warp tool in free transform, there's no way I can line those up. So that's one scenario. I've probably got hundreds of scenarios that I could show you where I've used the warp tool. I'm going to show you one now that I did yesterday. It's a still life, kind of a still life shot. And it would not be possible to solve these problems without that tool. So let's dive in. Let me show you. Let's go over here, and I'm going to show you the image that I finished. This is an agave that was perched in a window in Peru, and it had a black background, and I added the texture. So I'm going to show you the layers to that. So let's go over here. There's a photo warming, just a little sepia, black and white, because that converted the color, the textures were color. A little levels to just darken, because I really like the light version of that. Let's go back to black and white. I kind of like that, but I thought, well, maybe it's just a little too light. So I added a little darker adjustment levels there. There's the agave. And then the texture, I used 3 different textures to build that out. So there you go. There's the final image. But let me show you where I started, which will sort of give you an idea of what I would have to work with. So this is the image I shot backed up. And so I was on the streets of Peru walking in, let's see, the town is called Arequipa, I believe that's, I was there actually on a client shoot, but had a day off and I was walking the streets. So this was shot with a 24 millimeter, but this final image here was shot with a 70 millimeter. And I might have gotten, I don't know if I've gotten a little higher. I can't remember. It's been a while, but let me go over to Bridge and I'm going to show you. Here's my bracketed set of images, which created this image right here. So you can see that I'm missing a bunch of parts here. I got some flaws there in the agave leaves. And so I want to build out those leaves. I don't have it wasn't there. And plus there's some flaws I want to fix. So I'm going to show you how I go into the Photoshop with the warp tool to bring back all these leaves perfectly. All right, so I'm cheating, which is okay because a photograph is a representation of an artistic vision that I have. And to me, every photograph is meant, if you take a choice of lenses, you make a choice of what lens to put on, you're manipulating the photograph. So every photograph's manipulated. So we're gonna open up this and it's gonna bring it over here into Photoshop and we're gonna dive in. I'm not gonna fix every single leaf, that would take too long, but I wanna show you the basics of how I would solve this and get to this end result that I can take this image, make a gorgeous print and put it in a gallery or put it on my wall. Who knows? So let's go back to here. All right, we're going to go down a little bit on the size here so you can see it. So I've got to increase my canvas. That's the very first thing I'm going to do. So we're going to go over here to canvas size. We're going to take the width and let's go to 26. I think that's what I did before. All right, that's pretty wide, maybe more wider than I need. We're going to get a little more on the top. So we go to the canvas again and we're going to click the bottom arrow so the anchor's on the bottom. And we're going to go, let's go to 15. Just, I don't know exactly the dimensions. I can always crop it later. All right. So that's the first step. You could always make a duplicate layer just in case. I don't always do that, but in case you screw it up, you go, oh my gosh, I can go back. And if I have a smart object, when I brought it over, I usually save the smart object just in case. But, so let's go over here. We're going to go black brush, 100%. And I'm just going to fill in a little bit of the black here to kind of get the sense of, whoop, I went too quick on that. I'm doing that. It's early in the morning and I didn't have any coffee, but I'm a little hyper. I climbed the steps this morning, did my exercises out here in Phoenix, the west side. We have these steps, 350 steps. I do my exercise. So I'm wired. I'm ready to take on the world. All right, so here we go. We're just kind of building this around a little bit to give me a sense of my black background, which we're obviously going to extract out. We don't have to. We could leave it black if we wanted. All right. So I'm just going to go to that point right there. All right. Now, so let's start with this one first. And I'm on the layer that I want to extract or to select. We go up to the lasso tool. And let's see. Let's just start with the simplest one right here. Okay. So I go Command C, which is copy. Command V, which is paste. Now I got a layer above me. Command T, which brings me into the free transform. I can always do that over here, but that's the shortcut I've been doing. And I always repeat that Command C, Command V, Command T. I do that, I don't know how many times a day when I'm working in Photoshop. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna come down here. Well, let's fix this one. Yeah, let's fix this one first. This has got a weird thing on the end there that kind of dried up. So I can't see where I'm supposed to anchor it. So I take the opacity down and I'm going to move it around now until I get, let's blow it up so you can see it. And we say, okay, let's see, what would be a good spot? We just want the tip of it, right? So I'm going to go put it right about there. And then I'm going to go and control, or we call right click. And I'm going to go to warp. So now I'm set up to start pushing the image, the pixels around. So we're going to go pull it a little bit here. And all I need is to have at least 1 point on this line that matches. I don't have to have the whole line match, but you can get as close as you can. So now we're going to bring this around. There we go. Now that moved that bottom a little bit low. Just adjust that again. So adjust the top. We're going to blow it up a little bit more just to make sure everything looks pretty good. So now we say enter. Bring our opacity back. Okay. So now let me hit F so I can move this around for you. And now we get to make a mask, which will allow me to get rid of this black here because I don't want that there. And we're on 100% here, by the way. And it's just a soft brush, okay? All right, so now I got 1 point there and 1 point there. So I might zoom in just to make sure that matched looks pretty good. So we go down, and then now here's the little secret. So I'm back on to I'm still on the mask. I go to my brush, black, but I bring my opacity to say 25%, somewhere around there. And now I feather in here to bring in the smooth sort of blending of the two. So let's go click on, click off, click on, click off. So you can see where I'm doing that there. So now I go Command E, which marks down because I'm done with that. I don't need that. So let's go down, take a look. Beautiful. All right, so I fixed one. So let's take and do another one. So we go over here to my lasso tool. We're going to fix this one here. Let's try a different one. Let's try this one here. Command C, Command V, Command T. Now you know the sort of the sequence here. And we're going to bring this over here. And we're going to go to opacity, just so I can see it. And this one will probably go right about there. All right, right click, hold down the, we'll scroll down to warp. Let's blow it up.
What is Doug Mastriano's top priority?
I am pro-life. It's my #1 issue.
Banning all abortions. Josh Shapiro has different priorities. Cutting taxes, getting our economy moving, and investing in job training. His priority is you.
And we're going to pull it in position. Whoops, outside of my thing here. Again, what I'm concerned about is this 1 point here and 1 point there. That's all I need. I'm not worried about the matching up there. All right, so we go back to full opacity, hit enter, make a mask, and that's right down here at the bottom of my little palette. And we now go to my black brush, go back to 100%, and we're just gonna, let's blow it up so we can see the exact spot where we're gonna blend. Right, oh, see, I went too far there. Let me show you. So I'm gonna hit the X key, come back till I get to my 1 point. That's all I need. Up here looks good. All right. Then I go to the 25% opacity or thereabouts. And we're going to feather this in here. Oop, I'm on the white. I got to go to black. So I can bring that little pattern right up into here. So you cannot tell. All right, looks good. We go Command E, which merges it down. You can save all those layers, by the way. It just makes it a little more complicated for me. All right, so let's do this one down here. This is a little bit of a challenge. This one goes out. And so let's take, oh boy, which one would we use for that? Let's try this one again. Again, there's not too many options here. So Command C, Command V, Command T. This is completely different, in terms of thickness and all that. So this will be a little more challenged. So let's curve it down a little bit here. And I can always move it around later if I'm, not happy. So go to opacity, blow it up. Command T. We're going to hold down the control to scroll to warp. So this one's going to be a little bit more of a challenge. So let's take and push that up. And we want it in our frame over here. So let's get the bottom to come up. And we're going to pull that down a little bit here. This is probably the hardest one of the whole batch. Just going to keep moving it until I kind of get it. And that one spot there, I've got one. Let's see if we can maybe fix that a little bit better there. So I have my anchor or my contact point there, contact point there, go to 100%, hit enter, get my brush, make a mask. Hit enter, it didn't work there. Get a mask, get my brush. And so let's now, I'm only on 28%, see? Let's go here. So the key to this is knowing that all I need is one anchor point or one contact point to make it look real. So let's find out if I got it right here, right there. Right about there, okay, come down. Now we go to 28% or 25% opacity on my brush. It's a soft brush, by the way. We're on black, and we'll paint in. Now, by the way, if you hit the backslash right under the delete on my keyboard, you can see where you have, painted on your mask. So that gives you a little reference point if you need to do that. And I didn't know that for a long time, and I was teaching a class in front of a whole bunch of people, and someone said, yell that out. Normally, I don't like it when people yell things out because I feel like I'm a hack anyways. But anyways, I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. Didn't know that. All right, so we're going to feather that in right there. I could probably blow that up just a little bit, zoom in there, but that looks pretty good, because all I got to do is sell the fake to you, right, or the viewer. So we're going to go Command E. Let's go back to 100% on our brush. We're going to go over here, and I'm going to paint in here, and we'll paint right here. So you can kind of see what I did. Now, I'm not going to go through and do every single leaf, but I hope you get the point. With this tool, I can go and warp things into position. And so if it's a fence post, so let's say you have you're shooting this beautiful old country road with a fence post going down, and one fence post looks terrible. Like everything looks good. You go, oh man. Well, you know that, I can, in Photoshop, I can fix that. And I can free transform. I can take, say, the bigger fence post that looks good here, bring it down, warp it, match it, blend it in, and then feather it. And so that it looks like it's just a perfect
line of beautiful fence posts going off into infinity and a little windy road, whatever it is your scenario is. It's unlimited, and I use it all the time. And so, but here's where I want you guys to kind of get, this is where I think it's important. Is that when I'm out shooting like that agave sitting in the window and I look at it, I go, oh, it's gorgeous. You know what? Oh, geez, I wish I had more. I wish the window frame wasn't touching and there's some broken or leaves that are, agave leaves that aren't perfect. Oh, and I just pass it up, or I just say it's not what I want. But knowing the warp tool, knowing all that, I can in my mind think, oh, I can solve that. And I know some of you purists out there will go, oh, you know what? If you can't do it in camera, it's not a real photograph. Well, guess what? Years ago, I talk about this a lot in the Geographs Academy. I thought I was a photographer for 30 years, and I gave up that title. I became an artist with a set of tools. And one of my tools happens to be a camera, and another tool is Photoshop. So you get my point, is that I'm an artist. I'm thinking through. I think ahead. I think how to solve problems. The warp tool and free transform is one of those tools that I could not live without. And I hope you guys learned something from this and enjoy it. Subscribe if you want to keep in touch with what I'm doing. I'm trying to put out more videos all the time. It takes a little bit of effort on my part, but I want to give you guys something. And I get excited when I learn something new. So I hope you go out, create images, have fun. As I always say, be an artist, live your dream, and create an income with your camera.
The warp tool is something that I use all the time. And I love it. I really do like the warp tool. I'm going to show you something here. Like I said, when you click on the warp tool, you can see this is what the arch does. Makes it look like an arch lower, arch upper. If you go down through here, you can get creative on what kind of picture you do want. I'm just using this just to show you what some of this other stuff will do with the warp tool. So I say, go on in there and play with it. And as I said, you can go from the warp tool, you can go to back to your regular free transform tool. And something else is that I use on my tools is this is a house in Texas. We just bought it. It's really a horrible yard. So I use the free transform by going ahead and taking some pictures of different shrubs and different bricks, and then I lined them up. I put them up in here, and I thought this is what I want. It's formal. Unfortunately, after thinking about it, I'm a master gardener. That is not going to work for me. So what I ended up doing instead, and this is just one small picture, is I ended up doing the whole front yard in pathways with all tropicals. It just gives you an idea of what you can do with your transform tool. You can use it to landscape, put different flower pictures in there, you know, copy paste or go ahead and make a selection, throw it in there. That's what you do. I love the transform tool. I use it all the time. I love the warp tool. I've used it quite a few times. And I think that you can really improve your photos by doing it. I consider the photos as an artist and not as a purist, just like he does. I do not have time, because it's already 9 o'clock, to go over the move tool. You saw one way I use the move tool, and that's taking one of that butterfly, remember, into another photo. I use the move tool for that. But the move tool can do quite a few different things. It would take me another 15, 20 minutes to go through that. So I will leave that up to another time. Any questions? Anybody awake?
Yes, thank you, Margie.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Margie. I had
Thanks,
no
Margie.
idea
That was
that
good.
capability was there, so it was,
Yeah.
that's great.
Thank you.
Okay.
I do have a question, Margie. On that one photo that you have the boat with the reflection.
Yes.
Can you distort like only like the lower half to make it look like waves and stuff?
You can do anything you want with it. Let me see if I can get back in here. Just
I
give me,
didn't know if you could just like. I know you moved it and everything, but I didn't know if you could just select like the bottom half and do like a filter on that.
you're talking about this one?
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
in the clouds.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can actually, there isn't anything you can't do with the photo. I can tell you that. In Photoshop, you can do anything. So you're saying, do you want the bottom half to be the ocean itself?
Right. So it would look like it's on like a wavy.
Yeah, you can definitely do that. Just use another picture, bring it in there, reduce it, put it where you want it with the transform tool, it'll work. And then blend in your edges.
No, I meant with this photo, not bringing in any other picture, but just like taking the bottom half and then distort just the bottom half. Can you do that?
I'm sorry, taking.
Like if I selected just the bottom half of that photo.
This part here.
Yes, like the boat, the bottom boat all the way down. And then can I do like a, I don't know, like a whirlpool type filter on that then? Would that work?
You can try it with the whirlpool. There isn't anything you can't do with Photoshop as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, I'm not real good at Photoshop. That's why I was asking.
Yeah.
Marty, once you make a selection and then you do something inside that selection, yeah, you can do anything in that and not affect the rest of the picture.
Yes, you definitely can.
So if you did a really good selection from the bottom of that boat to the bottom half of for the whole bottom half of the picture, and you wanted to do whatever you wanted with that, you can, and it won't affect the top half.
Right.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. It's great. It's fun. You can get really creative, especially with the transform and the warp tool. Those are two tools that I use all the time because I do a lot of composites. I really enjoy them. Whoops. Okay. We'll get to that one next time.
All right. Thank you, Margie.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Margie.
I think tonight was very informative and very interesting. Thank you, everyone.
Yep. Good job, everyone. Thank you very much. I learned quite a few things tonight. I'm going to be playing with some flower petals now, I think, and seeing what I can do to fix some things.
That was interesting.
Jim's laughing at me. I see him laughing. I see him. So very good. Very good. I like that very much.
I do have a question though, just you know, when it comes to cell phones, I'm an idiot. There's no way about it. You all know that. I just don't use it the way I should, although I do have my 14 Pro Max Pro that I am anxious to use. I don't know if Brian got his in yet or even ordered.
I haven't ordered one yet.
Well, I've got to set it up and everything. The cloud, I do not understand the cloud. I know that when I went to take pictures off of my old phone, some of them were in the cloud. How did I get them in the cloud? The others were not in the cloud. How is it that some go to the cloud and some do not go to the cloud?
Okay.
Margie, do you have the sync up on top of the, use it through Lightroom, right?
I use Lightroom, but I don't sync anything.
No, she's talking about the cloud for iPhone. The Apple cloud.
Oh, the Apple cloud. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. You have to sign with the Apple ID, the same Apple ID that's used everywhere.
Yeah.
I know how to get into it, but how did my pictures get into it when I did not put them in there?
Well, it depends on if you had your phone set to sync them or not. That's
Yeah.
we can go through a whole process of that. I'll help you with that, but we'll do that outside of the meeting.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's probably going to be one of those talk about meetings. And there's more than one cloud, right?
No.
Yes.
There's lots of them in the sky, but we only use one.
Okay, but I have like one in the Microsoft. I have so much. I
Yeah,
can put-
you have one for Microsoft and one for Apple, one for, there's more than one, but I'll help you with that.
Okay. All right, that's a good topic to get into. All
Yep.
right.
All right, guys. Well, if there's nothing else, I'm gonna close up and get the hell out of my work here. And I got other stuff. I gotta go do some other work before I go home. So
I sent you a message.
I know I got it. I'm working on it. I'll have it for you. I should be able to get that for you tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Anybody else? Anything else? Jim, I got your message too. I'll get you taken care of.
No rush.
All right. All right, guys. If there's nothing else, we'll call it an evening. Thank you very much. It was a great meeting. Lots of new stuff I learned tonight. So thank you.
Good night.
All right.
Good
Bye.
night. Good night.
Bye.
Night all.
Bye.